Hi, I'm Omar, and I'm the Grow Pastor here at The Crossing. If you're looking for some wisdom on how little steps can lead to a big difference in your life, you're going to love this service. The Crossing is where people go to explore faith and experience the life-changing ways of Jesus. We made a small, easy study guide to help you explore 4 basic truths every believer can build their life on. You can scan the QR code or use the link in the description to get your guide. And now, here's our lead pastor, Andrew Brownback, with the first episode of our series, Beat the Odds.
Welcome, everyone. Glad you're joining with us today. My name is Andrew, and I'm the lead pastor at the Crossing Church. And back when I was in high school, there was a heartbreaking story that took the nation by storm. John F. Kennedy Jr. took off from a small plane from New Jersey on way to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. The conditions were less than optimal. It was hazy, difficult to see, and before the plane reached the destination, it crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, there was a big investigation into what went wrong, and the National Transportation Board concluded that the cause of the crash was spatial disorientation, which is defined as the inability to determine your place in relation to the world around you. In fact, around 10% of airplane crashes are because of spatial disorientation. A pilot will be flying, loses their bearings, they get lost, they get confused, and the result is deadly. Now, why am I telling you this? It's because spatial disorientation doesn't just happen to pilots. It happens all the time in our world today. People lose their bearings, they get confused, and they make terrible life decisions, and the results are always heartbreaking. And I see this in one particular place especially. It's a difficult, painful area that most of us avoid talking about because, let's be honest, we've all made some mistakes here. We've all lost our bearings. We've all suffered from spatial disorientation. And this area is our financial life. And I know, the moment I say financial life, some of you, your stomachs just dropped. Because the last thing you want to do is talk about your money or your finances. I know that some of you have had such bad experiences with churches in the past talking about money. And so you're thinking right now, you're watching this and you're thinking, oh no, here goes another church just talking about money. Or maybe for you, you're thinking to yourself, all churches care about is my money. Well, if that's what you're thinking, hang with me for just a few moments because I can't speak about all churches, but I can speak about this church, The Crossing. And I just want to put that idea that all churches care about is money to the test. I mean, did you know here at The Crossing, you can watch every service we have ever put out for free? You can download every resource we've created for free. Did you know you can send an email every week to our prayer team and have someone pray for you every single week for free? If you come on our campus, you can send your kids to TC Kids every week for the next 10 years for free. In fact, one of my favorite conversations to have with new families to our church is people will come in, they'll take a tour of TC Kids, they'll hear all we offer kids, and then they'll ask me the question, how much does it cost? And I love telling people it's free. You can show up every week, take advantage of every resource. You can be part of every awesome event we offer. Events like our egg hunt, which we just had, or some of our fun summer events that are coming up. And you know what the cost is? They are all free. In fact, you could come, join online, come in person. You can meet with our staff and never give a single penny to this church because we, the church, we exist for people. Now, on the flip side, try going to your favorite restaurant today. Order your favorite food, favorite dessert, and then when the bill comes, ask if they'll just let you have everything for free. Or try going to Disney this week with your kids. Show up at that magical, fun-filled place and just try to walk through the gates without a ticket. See what happens. You will never get in. In fact, you'll never even think of trying to do something like that because you understand Disney is a business. Your favorite restaurant is a business, and businesses exist for profits. And of course, there's nothing wrong with this. Businesses exist for profit. That's a good thing. But the church exists for people. So this series, we're going to talk about your finances, not because I want something from you, but because I want something for you. In fact, we're calling this series Beat the Odds, because what I'm seeing right now is that finances are causing so much pain. They're the cause of so many divorces, so many sleepless nights, so much anxiety and stress than maybe ever before. In fact, MSNBC released some of their current research around the average American's finances, and here's what they found. 77% of Americans feel stressed today about their current financial situation. Most of these people are stressed because of inflation or because of so many Americans who are nearing retirement or the uncertainty in our economy right now. Debt also plays a huge role in our stress. On top of that, 58% feel that finances control their lives. 52% of Americans have difficulty controlling their money-related worries. And all of this makes sense when you look at the average American's relationship with debt. The average American family with credit card debt has a balance of $5,600. The average American with car debt owes $26,000. And the average American with student loan debt owes $37,000. Now, the good news is that if you are anxious and worried about your financial picture, if you have car debt or student loans, or you carry a large credit card debt, the good news is you are not alone. You are like most people. You are part of the average. The bad news, however, is average isn't working. Average equals worry, stress, anxiety. Average equals debt and shame. Average equals disaster. And what all this data shows is that there is a direct connection between our financial health and the lives we live, which shouldn't surprise us because Jesus said it this way: "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." In fact, Jesus talked more about money than any other topic. Not because Jesus wanted something from you, but because he understood the power money has over us. So today, if you are tired of being average, tired of worry and anxiety, if you're tired about being anxious about your money, today we are going to talk about how do we beat the odds and experience a better way. Now, I have a disclaimer for you. This series is not a magic fix. There is no prayer I know that will get you the right lottery numbers and fix all your money issues. There is no prayer that I know of where God will give you the great stop tip that you've been looking for, or God will whisper to you the right cryptocurrency to invest in. If there is a prayer out there that God will answer with these, send it my way, because I've never heard it. What I want you to know, though, is today, what I want to do is I want to begin with a simple verse from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 11, which says this: "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." Today, we're going to focus on the second half of that little verse, that little by little, that those small little steps that we can take, that they will make a big difference in our finances. I want to call us to take action with our finances today, to look at 3 small steps that we can take that will make a big difference. So we're going to use this little acronym today in our remaining time. It's the acronym of the word ACT. Because if you want to see change in your life, if you want clarity around your finances, if average isn't working for you, then you're going to need to act today. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't been so far, make sure you take some notes. Easy way to do that is with our app, which, no surprise here, is totally free on Google Play and iTunes. And while you're downloading that, let me introduce you to the first letter of our acronym, the first of 3 small steps that will make a big difference for you. Here we go. First step, first letter is A, acknowledge reality. In John chapter 8, Jesus has this great line: "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Now, in this passage, Jesus is talking about himself as the ultimate truth, the ultimate things that human beings like us need. But this also applies to other areas of our lives. It is impossible to grow or change without first getting really honest about where you are today. We need to be honest. We need to tell ourselves the truth. And I know this can be difficult. I mean, all of us have that one friend, that one friend who refuses to ever go to the doctor because, they believe what I don't know can't hurt me. No matter what they have, no matter how long they have been sick or coughing or walking around with a limp, they refuse to the doctor. And when you say, hey, I think you should go to the doctor, they flat out refuse because that friend of yours, they believe what I don't know can't hurt me. Now, you and I, we all roll our eyes at that friend because we know that this is the worst strategy ever. What you don't know can hurt you. It can actually kill you. What you don't know can wreck your life, and the same is true for our finances. So our first step today is to let the truth set us free, to acknowledge reality. And to help us, I have a list of a few questions that you need to be able to answer to get an accurate picture of your finances. So here we go. Question 1. How much money do I actually make? Now, this question is helpful because I am often convinced that I don't make enough money, that I should be making more. I don't know if you've ever felt that, but I sure have. And that's because we live in a time where every company is trying to convince us to spend more and more money on more stuff. I remember almost 20 years ago, I got my very first job in ministry. I was so excited because I was making $25,000 a year. I remember that very first paycheck. I remember thinking like, oh, wow, this is so much money. And then guess what? A few years later, I got this really big promotion and I started making $40,000. I was so rich at that point, I was able to quit my part-time job at Starbucks. I no longer had to be a teacher's assistant. I thought to myself, who on earth would ever need more than $40,000 in a year? Well, you know who did? Me. Pretty soon, all of that extra margin was gone. I ended up getting a bigger apartment. I ended up buying new things. I started eating out more. All of a sudden, all that extra money was gone because I believed I need more of these kinds of things. You see, you and I, we live in a culture where everything and everyone is telling us to spend more money on more stuff. Now, just to give you a little context, the median household income in Costa Mesa, it's where our church is, where I live, is $90,000. That's for 2 adults. So if you are making more than that, you are above average. Now, there's nothing wrong with being above that number. It's just important for us to have context. We need a reality check of how much money we are actually making and what's available to us. Now, the same thing is true if you're on the low end of that $90,000. If you're making, let's say, $35,000 a year, if you're trying to live on your own in Orange County in a townhome and you don't want to have any roommates, it's going to be really tough for you. So first thing, get an accurate picture of the reality of your income. Second thing, we look at how much do I give away every month. You see, most of us have this desire to be generous, to support causes and organizations that are making a big difference in our world. But like everything else, unless we have a plan, unless we get honest about how we're doing, it never happens. My wife and I, every quarter, we look at how much we're currently giving away. Because what can happen is our income can go up and we just forget to adjust what we're giving away. You could be making $1,000 and you could be giving away $100, and that's 10%. But over years and years, as your income goes up to $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 a month, if your giving stays the same, we actually are becoming less generous. Now, just for a benchmark, if you consider yourself a follower of Jesus, the Bible's starting point for generosity is something called the tithe. The first 10% given back to God. Proverbs 3:9 says this. It says, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. The idea here is first, we give generously to God. We trust him to take care of us with what's remaining. Now, if you are not a follower of Jesus, you don't have to worry about this part. But I bet every single one of us has this desire to be generous as well. So, how are we doing in this area? Maybe you aren't at that 10% mark yet. That's okay. Where are you today? Maybe you're under 1%, or maybe you want to grow that area to 2% this year, or maybe you used to be at 10%, but as your income has increased, the percentage you're actually giving away is decreasing. Again, my goal is just for you to be aware. Third question, how much do I have in debt? Now, most of us think about debt in terms of monthly payments. If we're gonna buy a car, we think of how much we can afford every month, and then we get the best car that fits around that monthly amount. But this is why debt is so dangerous. Proverbs 22:7 says this. It says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." And you see, and we experience this in our day to day. For example, if you have, let's say, $5,000 balance on a credit card, and you make the monthly minimum payment of $100, did you know that you will be in debt until March 2053? That is over 30 years from now. You'll have paid over $17,000 on that $5,000 credit card debt. You see, we're going to talk more about debt in week 3, but just for now, just answer the question, how much debt do I have? How much do you owe on your car or your motorcycle? Or how much do you have on your credit card debt or college loans or grad school loans, whatever it may be? What's the total debt you have? And then finally, fourth question, how much do I have in savings? As a general rule, you want about 3 to 6 months of living expenses in your savings account in case of emergency. So add up, if you have any money in a savings account, how much is that? On top of that, maybe write down if you got a Roth IRA or a 401k, include it here. You see, later today, you can spend just a few minutes, you can answer these 4 questions, and you can get an accurate picture of your financial reality. Take a look and see. How do you feel? Where are you strong? Where do you need to put some work in? And then once you do that, you can move on to the second small step. Commit to change. There is power in deciding to commit to change. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans." The book of Proverbs is a book of generally how the world works. And what this verse teaches us is that there is power in our commitments. If you want to lose 10 pounds, your first step is to make the decision, I want to change. You have to commit to doing life differently. You need to decide to eat differently, exercise differently. Now, I want to be clear. A commitment in itself doesn't magically make you change. But change and growth never occur without commitment. I've seen this in my own life. If you've been around here for a while, you know every November, I ask each of us, myself included, to spend some time praying about an above and beyond gift to our church as our church goes above and beyond to meet the needs in our community. We do this every single November. Well, around last Christmas, God asked our church to do a lot. There's a local school we partner with that was facing some significant challenges, especially around mental health. And as a church, we decided to step in and provide resources for every classroom and every teacher. On top of that, we had our biggest ever goal partnering with this organization I love called ADA, which provides clean water for families in El Salvador. We had a goal of providing clean water for 500 families. And as the lead pastor here, I believe it's important for me to lead the way. So my wife and I prayed. God gave us a number to give. And I'll tell you, it was a big number, a really big number for us. But my wife and I, we agreed and we made this commitment, this number we were going to go above and beyond and we were going to give. Well, I'll tell you, just a few days later, my car died. Like, died. It was a 2002 Mazda, so I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. Long story short, I needed to get a new car. And you may not know this, but it was a terrible time to buy a new or used car back then. I mean, the cost was insane. So we went with something real basic. We got a Camry, nothing crazy, but it still cost way more than we expected. And I just got to be honest here. I mean, I remember after I had to pay that for that car, I remember having this thought, you know, maybe we should lower our year-end gift. I mean, I had all these justifications going through my head. We're already generous. We already give. Or, when we made this commitment, we didn't know our car would die. That's circumstances outside of our control. Or I thought, honestly, it's no big deal. We can just give, but just maybe not as much. I had all these rationalizations going on. And I'll tell you, I was this close to changing our commitment. But I kept it because I kept coming back to verses like Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. And so in the end, we kept our original commitment. We gave this gift, which by our standards was a really big gift for us. And I'll tell you what, I am so glad we did. I mean, I wish I could tell you that after we gave our commitment, we got some big check in the mail, or when I showed up to the Toyota dealer, that they gave us the car for free, but nothing like that happened. We had to stretch ourselves financially. We had to make a few sacrifices, but I'll tell you what, in the end, it was totally worth it. When I look at what God did through this church, when I think about the 500 families that got clean water, when I think about this local school that every time I show up, I see the ongoing support that we as a church provided, I am so grateful that my family and we got to be part of that story. We got to be part of providing hope and help. And I'll tell you, God used that commitment to grow me and grow my faith. And so I don't know what commitment you need to make today. I mean, maybe your commitment is that this is the year you're finally going to get out of debt. Or maybe your commitment is that this year I'm going to create a budget and I'm actually going to keep it. Maybe your commitment needs to be that you're going to start saving for retirement. Maybe your commitment is this year I will give away 10% of my income. Whatever your commitment is, it will be a faith-building, faith-growing experience. It will stretch you. It will grow you. You see, our goal in this series is to help you commit to an area that will help you grow. And this leads right into our last step, our last small step that we need to take, and that's simply tell someone. Whatever your first two things are, nothing will change until you tell someone. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I want people around me who will help me grow. I need people around me that will sharpen me and grow me. I got a small group of guys that I meet with every week that challenge me spiritually. I got a group of pastors I meet with regularly that help me grow as a leader. I have mentors like our founding pastor, Tim. I have an amazing wife who is never shy in telling me the truth about things. You see, we all need people in our lives like this, and including we need people that will help us financially. So today, we as a church, we want to help. We have a free resource to help you today. On top of that, we are offering a 1-hour, very simple class to help you on your financial journey. We're calling it a financial refresh. I mean, think of it as a tune-up. If this area has been off on your radar, you haven't been paying attention to it, if you need a brief check-in, or if maybe you have a brand new family or newly married, this is a great opportunity. Give us 1 hour of your time, and we will help you on your financial journey. Now, one last thing before we close. The topic of money and finances, it can bring up a ton of emotions, including guilt and shame. Every single one of us have made some mistakes with money. All of us carry some level of regret, and sometimes when we talk about money, even in church, the shame and the guilt, it just bubbles to the surface. And if that's you, what I want you to hear is that we have a God who offers grace in every single area of our lives. James chapter 4, verse 6 says this. It says, this is God, but he gives us more grace. This is why the scripture says God opposes the proud and shows favor to the humble. That when we humble ourselves, when we acknowledge reality, when we commit to change, when we talk to someone about it, this is true of our finances, but this is true of every area of our lives. When we do this, we meet the God of grace, the God of love and forgiveness, the God who offers the gift of grace. And this God will give each one of us strength to take one small step today. So whatever you may be called to, whatever God may be leading to, whatever next step you may need to take, or maybe it's in finances or maybe something completely else, I believe the God of grace will meet you right where you're at. Let's pray. And so God, we come before you and we just thank you for this little bit of time together. And God, I just pray that each one of us, we would acknowledge reality today and how we're doing financially. We would commit to an area of change, and that we would just simply tell someone about it, and we would see you move in our lives. God, I thank you for being a God who speaks to us, guides us, and meets us right where we're at. We love you, God, and we pray this in your Son's name. Amen.
Oh, my words fall short. I've got nothing new. How could I express oh my gratitude? I could sing these songs as I often do. Every song must end, but you never do. So I throw up my hands, praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, nothing else fit for a king, except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. I've got one response, I've got just one move, with my arms stretched wide, I will worship you. So I throw up my hands, praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, nothing else fit for a king, except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. So come on, my soul, but don't you get shy on me, lift up your song, 'cause you've got a lion inside of those lungs, and get up and praise the Lord. Come on, my soul, well, don't you get shy on me, lift up your song, 'cause you've got a lion inside of those lungs, and get up and praise the Lord. So come on, my soul, well, don't you get shy on me, lift up your song, 'cause you've got a lion inside of those lungs, and get up and praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, oh my soul, praise the Lord. So I throw up my hands, praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, nothing else fit for a king, except for hearts singing hallelujah, hallelujah.
Thank you so much for being here. The Crossing is the place for you to explore faith and experience the life-changing ways of Jesus. Like Andrew mentioned, we are offering a free resource to help you get your finances back on track. This resource will give you some practical tips on how to handle your money well, and there's even a budget sheet to help you refresh or put a budget together for the first time. The link for this resource is in the description. We are also offering a one-time class on campus June 1st from 6:30 to 8 o'clock called Budget Refresh. If you would like help on putting together a budget for the first time, or your budget needs a refresh, this is a perfect class for you. You can go and register by clicking in the link below. One of the values that we have here at The Crossing is that you would find your people and really feel at home. That's why we have weekly gatherings called small groups. These small groups help you to grow in your relationship with Jesus and get to know some great people. We're currently offering groups on campus and online as well. If you're interested in joining a group, all you have to do is go to thecrossing.com/groups to find out more. And if you have kids, we have a great camp planned for them this summer. TC Kids is planning a VBS June 13th through the 17th. VBS is a super fun experience with activities like water slides, crafts, small groups, Bible lessons, and worship. Your kids are going to make friends and have a great time. And it's only $25 per kid and includes a snack, a shirt, a couple of hours of fun, and it's open to kids kinder through 5th grade in the 2022 school year. You can go to thecrossing.com and scroll down to the link, or we've put the link in the description. If you have any other questions, you can contact Tony, our children's pastor, at tjohnson@thecrossing.com. Another value that we have here at The Crossing is that you would make a difference with the one and only life that you have. Our church is dedicated to making an impact in our community both physically and spiritually. Please consider making a donation to The Crossing. And if this has become your church home, you can set up recurring giving to always be a part of what our church is doing. Your gift makes a huge difference in people's lives. And so to give a donation, all you have to do is go to thecrossing.com/give. Thank you guys so much for being here. Here's some highlights of the differences that you're making when you give to The Crossing Church. Thank you for being a part of this community, and we'll see you guys soon.